I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Despite many years in production hell, we have finally seen the release of Sony's cinematic adaptation of its mega-hit PlayStation game franchise, Uncharted, which has those adventuring thieves Nathan Drake and Sully Sullivan played by Peter Parker and Marky Marker. Sure, the critics and some game fans may have dismissed it, but audiences have been far more welcoming of the Uncharted movie, with plenty more video game adaptations coming to Netflix and otherwise this year that hope to break the dreaded video game movie and/or TV curse. But let us not forget Drake's fellow video game adventurer, Lara Croft, the protagonist of the Tomb Raider series that helped revolutionize 3D platform gaming in the 64-bit era, and who arguably became a bigger name than the video game.
Let's do this.
Jackpot.
She adorned magazines, she sold shit on TV, and she was being played by one of the hottest actresses of the era, Angelina Jolie, in the live-action Tomb Raider movie from 2001, which overcame a poor critical reception to become one of the highest-grossing video game movies ever, leading Paramount Pictures to quickly bring Jolie back for the 2003 failed follow-up, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, The Rise of Taj. For The Cradle of Life, original Tomb Raider director Simon West was replaced by Jan de Bont, the Dutch cinematographer of Die Hard and Basic Instinct, who'd go further behind the camera as the director of the big-budget blockbusters Speed and Twister, only to sully his reputation with the double failure of Speed 2 and The Haunting. But it was the second Tomb Raider that convinced de Bont to leave the movie business, after Paramount and the game's studio, Eidos Interactive, kept interfering with every step of the creative process, and The Cradle of Life would garner only slightly better reviews than its predecessor, on top of flopping at the box office, opening behind Spy Kids 3D. And as Paramount blamed Eidos for the movie's failure after the Tomb Raider games had experienced a badly received flop of their own, it wouldn't be until the next decade that Lara swung back into action with the acclaimed Tomb Raider reboot games, and Alicia Vikander starring as Lara in the 2018 film adaptation of those games that made decent profit despite split reviews. So as I have played and largely enjoyed the new Tomb Raider games myself, I'll see if Angelina Jolie's last turn as Lady Croft deserved to put this franchise into a tomb of its own. But it lacks one advantage that Jan de Bont's last shitty sequel had, and that would be Willem Dafoe hamming things up with his goblin face. That is so unfaithful to the games. The Willem Dafoe DLC on that last Tomb Raider game was incredible.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
Avenge me!
Thanks for watching Awfully Good Movies. If you enjoy our shows, please subscribe to our channel right now, like this video, and click on the bell so you can be notified each time a new video goes up. Now, back to the show. But first, let's excavate the tomb of your fridge and make off with the lost treasure of aged booze when we raid the Awfully Good Drinking Game. Take a shot or drink every time a tile card tells us which location of the globe we're in now, as we open in Greece during a Big Fat Greek Wedding, not to be confused with the film My Big Fat Greek Wedding, that's dancing to the music from a Mountain Dew commercial, when this big day is ruined by a big earthquake. Man, isn't that ironic? It's literally raining on your wedding day, and your entire family has been murdered by a rocky landslide. Couldn't have predicted that one, could you, Alanis? We then cut to a boat floating in the ocean over this rocky debris as a bunch of archaeologists have come to raid the valuable underwater ruins. But none of them can flip a jet ski in midair, quite like our titular Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, played again by Angelina Jolie.
Hello, boys. You're all wet.
Was that the double entendre about us coming in our pants?
Yes, it was a double entendre. Goddamn dumbasses.
Lara slips out of her swimsuit and into the silver rubber wetsuit, which accentuates Miss Jolie's fine figure so well that this outfit adorned all the advertising from this movie. Too bad she's in the way of the movie's title on its poster. No wonder this movie flopped at the box office. Audiences kept asking for tickets to go see Lara Croft, Timb Rare, The E of Life. Now Laura and her two Greek companions ride underwater on their scuba submajiggies and find an air pocket containing the Luna Temple, the hiding place for the most valuable treasures collected by the great Greek king Alexander the Great back in the BC era, and long thought to be destroyed by a volcanic eruption.
If even half the temple is intact, it will still be the greatest find since the pyramids.
So 1 year before playing the mother of Alexander the Great, Angelina Jolie did a movie where she broke into Alexander the Great's storage locker.
Hey Lara, what do you say to two handsome Greek partners?
Well, when you find two, let me know.
Well, I for one know about a certain pair of Italian plumber brothers who want themselves and Laura in a three-way video game crossover orgy.
Oh no. We dead?
Certainly gives new meaning to the term Laura for smash. So as Laura extracts a mysterious glowing orb out of the temple's walls,
Lara, what is that?
It's mine.
Mine.
along pops up a bunch of Chinese gangsters who kill her two Greek pals and snatch the orb for themselves, with Laura shooting them off with those iconic guns of hers before swimming out of the collapsing temple and punching a goddamn shark in its goddamn face. You know, I remember very little about playing the original Tomb Raider on my PlayStation as a 10-year-old, but I can't recall the level where Lara Croft punches the most laughable CGI shark this side of Deep Blue Sea. Shame on you, Nanawe. You deserve to go to Belle Reve Prison for your appearance in this movie.
Nom nom.
Fuck! Thankfully, Laura is rescued from the ocean by a sub containing her butler Hillary and tech expert Bryce, played again from the first movie by Chris Berry and Noah Taylor.
Lara, it's us, Hillary and Bryce! Nice day for a dip.
And fresh from their Little Scene spin-off movie, Hillary and Bryce Out of Control. When she arrives back at Croft Manor, Laura gets right back into perfecting her kick-ass skills with some training, much like in the games. Although I'm pretty sure her training doesn't cover mounting her horse like a badass action hero, instead of like a Victorian-era fancy lad.
Oh, Father, I do ever so want to administer some kind whoop ass.
But who should drop in on Laura but two agents from MI6, who tell her all about the Chinese crime family that snatched the orb from her back in Greece.
His name's Chen Lo. Along with his brother Zhen, he runs a ring of Chinese bandits known as the Shay Ling.
Who are working in cahoots with a scientist-turned-bioterrorist, Dr. Jonathan Rice, played by the great Irish actor Ciarin Hinds, whom we've recently seen in his Oscar-nominated turn in Belfast, and as Steppenwolf in both cuts of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Just as Steppenwolf wanted to remake our world into his tyrannical image, Dr. Rice seeks to eliminate the weakest Earthlings off the face of the Earth and leave him and his fellow evildoers to reshape society, thanks with the help of, hoo boy, genetically altered viruses.
There is no anti-serum for what I am offering you. No treatment, no vaccine, no cure. The modern world has never seen anything like what I have uncovered.
Uncovered?
Bitch, are you for real?
Yes, some tool on Facebook probably does think that COVID-19 is actually going to turn you into a human Mio dispenser. But look, I'm not going to be the asshole movie critic who hails Tomb Raider 2 for its timely pandemic commentary.
That, gentlemen, is the sound of a traitor dying.
That was an accelerated form of Ebola, deadliest disease known to man.
Well, guess what, dickhead? We just found a vaccine for Ebola recently. So maybe you should go back to your original idea for Mega Ultra Chicken Pox. So Chen Lo and the Shay Ling, which sounds like the title of the Asylum's Shang-Chi ripoff, are helping Dr. Rice obtain this orb because it contains a map to the location of the Cradle of Life, which contains Pandora's box. And for those of you who think Pandora's box is just a queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, let Angelina Jolie tell you all about the box of Pandora through endless exposition dialogue.
In 2300 BC, an Egyptian pharaoh found a place that he named the Cradle of Life, where life, began. The pharaoh opened the box, but all that was left inside was a repartee, or anti-life. The plague which came as the companion to life. The orb is the map. Hidden in the lunar temple by Alexander. Rice will use it to find Pandora's box, and when he opens it, he will unleash a weapon more powerful than you could ever imagine.
And this is why movies, much like video games, sometimes need an X button to skip. Now, Lara Croft was never that deep of a character in the original games, which the newer games fix quite wonderfully. While this movie has Lara wearing an outfit that she stole from Vin Diesel on the Triple X set, and calling on the services of an old flame from her unseen past. Terry Sheridan, played by a pre-300 and post-Dracula 2000, Gerard Butler, whom Lara finds locked up in a Kazakhstan prison for getting into a drunken fistfight with Borat and betraying his fellow Royal Marines by selling weapons to the Shay Ling, which means Lara needs his insider knowledge to reach the Chinese bandits and stop Dr. Rice.
Your record will be expunged, your citizenship restored.
Bye.
MI6 will also arrange a new identity.
Get me into China, and I'll get you to them in a day.
Okay, Gerard Butler, we're letting you out of movie jail after you was in that Cop Shop movie, but if you star in another one of them Geostorms, then we're gonna throw you back in the clink and lock you up in solitary with a star prisoner, Bruce Willis.
Hey, buddy. Are you lost?
So our heroes drop into China in a stealth jet. Fuck you, Chinese fisherman! And Lara meets up with a trusted contact in the country to grab her weapons.
Your clothes, guns, and knives are over there. I took the liberty of tuning your bike.
Who would have thought the sweet old lady to secretly be packing a John Wick-size artillery and 2 motorbikes, which I guess she fine-tuned herself, inside of her homemade bamboo garage? And considering how low the bar was set for graphics by the original Tomb Raider games, the poorly aged effects in this flick are barely a step over that bar. How did this movie manage to disrespect the Great Wall of China worse than when Nuclear Man destroyed it back in '87 and Superman rebuilt it with what the fuck ever vision? And just wait till you see Jolie and Gerard Butler riding their bikes alongside one another. Your eyes are not failing you, folks. They covered up the stunt actors' faces with a blurred face of a guy who looks neither like Lara Croft or King Leonidas. This looks so horrible. And this movie just got released in 4K, too? And unlike the games, no patches can be released to tighten up these shitty graphics.
We need to tighten up the graphics a little bit.
Great.
Much like how Jan de Bont couldn't spark chemistry between the lead actors in Speed 2, this movie also squanders any chemistry between our 2 very pretty and talented actors, whenever Lara and Terry bring up their romantic past that the audience doesn't give a second fuck about.
I don't expect anything from an English woman.
Good, because you're not going to get anything.
4 months. More good than bad.
It was 5 months.
This is less romancing the stone and more passing the stone. Terry leads the both of them up into the web of the Shay Ling, and their boss Chen Lo confronts Terry over some old grudges between them.
He was riding away with a truck full of my main bosses, and sitting next to him was his sister.
Oh, who is she?
You dumbass, you're looking at her now! That is his sister! She lost all her hair, yet gained all that weight after you dumped her. Poor woman's never been the same. So I remember how big a deal the casting of Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft was when I was a kid. And in that first movie, Jolie is actually putting something into it. An overall bad movie, yes, but anyone who wanted Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft got a decent performance. But she's on visibly bored autopilot in this sequel. And who could blame her when the most she's asked to do is let her lips do the acting for her, with the faces of Jolie's many stunt doubles clearly visible.
With all due respect, what the fuck?
Lara, now is hardly the time to practice your Rhythm Nation dance routine all over this poor man's face. And as villains go, Ciarin Hinds' baddie is as generic as they come, feeling more appropriate as a foe for Ethan Hunt than Lara Croft. I mean, what dumb bastard makes a secret handoff of illegal materials in the middle of a town square in China from a helicopter in mid-air?
Come on, hold it up!
Our regards to your brother! Does he not know that lower-class Chinese neighborhoods aren't equipped with fucking helipads?
Stop! What are you doing?
Look, I'm not questioning logic at this point, but if Steve-O had ever tried this as a jackass stunt, that would be hilarious. And where does this Nobel-winning scientist slash genocidal madman have his secret lab located to help unlock this map and unleash an apocalyptic plague? Why, in the lower level of a shopping mall in Hong Kong. Of course!
She has no idea where we are.
We take no chances. Have everything we need to manufacture an antidote transferred to the jet.
How perfect. If some kid from the Annie Ann's pretzel stand upstairs ends up finding our lab by accident, then we'll just make him part of our evil experiments. And reward him with $5 off at the bookstore on the 3rd floor.
Do you honestly believe you'll be able to control what's in that box? They'll release it, thinking it's just another weapon, and the world blames them.
What's left of the world blames them. Wouldn't the world be a better place without some of these people?
Well, I could certainly think of one person I could do without.
Well now, Angelina, let's leave Billy Bob Thornton / Brad Pitt / your father out of this. And besides, Ciarin Hinds remembers how many planets he's got left to dominate after this one, right?
You still owe the Great One 50,000 more worlds.
No! 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 By now we've traded in the historical puzzles we associate with Tomb Raider to instead feel like a female James Bond movie. Yes, I know that Bond was her love interest in the first movie, but this is a step too far, with Jolie flatly throwing out dry British wisecracks.
You would have been welcome in my world.
Piss off. Cheers. Lovely.
And both her and Butler escaping from Rice's men by popping on a couple of wingsuits.
Right, you go first.
No, you go first. I'll go first.
Well, at least we know who's in the top 2 slots for the part of Rocky the Squirrel. How about you, Til Schweiger? Maybe you'd like to play Bullwinkle? Even when this movie gets Butler and Jolie together for a possibly spicy sex scene that could spice up our bland film, they cave in to that damned PG-13 rating.
Well, not exactly what I had in mind, but okay.
I'm not leaving because I couldn't kill you. I'm leaving because I could.
And Laura goes it alone to a random family's house to have Bryce and Hillary serve some sort of purpose to this movie's plot.
Hello, boys.
And help Laura unlock the damn map already. By the way, don't sully the name of SpongeBob like this, Paramount. You'll be doing plenty of that once you start making those Paramount Plus spin-off shows.
Send the sounds.
Sending it now.
I'm waiting!
No, nothing.
At least this film has got one thing down from the original games, and that would be the long periods of waiting for something to happen. Finally, we unlock the map and find that the box of Pandora rests in the middle of Africa.
Africa it is.
Next up, Africa!
And that's when Angelina's future MCU castmate Jimon Hansu enters the picture as another old friend of Laura's in Africa, named Koza. And just like every other character, Hansu wastes his talent playing somebody who only serves as a means to move Lara Croft towards victory, instead of being a fully developed character themselves. I see what you're doing, Angelina. You had this movie go shoot over in Africa, so you could adopt yourself another dozen of kids.
Kweli unaelewa unachofanya? Do you truly understand what you are doing? Uko tayari kukabiliana na yale? Are you truly prepared for what you're about to learn?
I am prepared, sir.
Only with the orb can it be revealed.
But soon we find there is nothing which Lara Croft possesses, which Dr. Jonathan Chicken Fried Rice cannot take away. And after Rice's soldiers kill many tribesmen in the ensuing battle...
Don't just stand there! Throw me a spear!
Rice reveals that Laura's friends are in his custody and insists she leads him to the crater that contains the Cradle of Life, with Laura and Rice forced to contend with the humanoid creatures who are said to guard this cradle.
Says the land beyond the canyon belongs to the Shadow Guardians.
Shadow Guardians?
Presumably of the Shadow Galaxy?
Who?
I hope I'm not the only one who is so thrown off right now, because we've now got fucking demon dogs popping out of trees through wet black vagina holes. Why did Jan de Bont decide, after the failure of The Haunting, to concoct an even worse looking bunch of CGI ghost creatures? Seriously, throwing aliens into Indiana Jones 4 was not as much of a tonal lurch as this is. Now we're traveling to alternate dimensions which look like unused sets from Event Horizon, and where the rules of gravity matter here as much as they did in the rest of the movie's action set pieces. But Laura overcomes the topsy-turvy gravity of the cradle to win her final fight over Dr. Rice, who meets his fate in a pool of black acid below.
What the fuck
And just when I thought that Steppenwolf in the original Justice League was the worst looking CGI villain in Ciarin Hinds' career. Holy hell, how did this render make the final cut? He looks like Kevin Bacon at the end of Hollow Man. This Tomb Raider movie has somehow managed to have even worse computer effects than the notoriously bad Tomb Raider game from the same time.
Leave me alone, I'm busy!
But as they prepare to leave, Laura finds Terry trying to bring Pandora's box back with them so he can sell it off for a fortune to another evil rich guy.
Put it back.
No! No! I've helped you keep this away from Rice. This is my reward. This should be my reward!
Well, Gerard, the title of this movie is not Terry Sheridan, Weapon Smuggler, and this franchise is getting rebooted anyway, so would you like to do the honors?
Fine.
Ah, I meant to shoot myself in the chest, but instead I shot off both my testicles. What an embarrassing way to die. Even more embarrassing than when I starred in Playing for Keeps. Ach, McDoogie.
So Laura does away with the box in the swamps of Mount Dumb, and the world is once again safe from the threat of Gerard Butler movies for the time being.
The box is safe now.
Some things are not meant to be found.
Ha ha ha. Remember at the start of the film when she said everything lost is meant to be found? Well, she now thinks the opposite way.
Lara, all right.
This is very touching.
This is a wedding ceremony and you are the grooms.
Good luck, boys.
Also, ha ha ha, Hillary and Bryce are accidentally marrying each other. What? That is crazy. Those men can't sex each other. Boy, I sure care about these characters, and I cannot wait to see where they go next. Angelina Jolie says she didn't want to do a third Tomb Raider because she was so satisfied with the second film, though Jan de Bont's complete retirement from filmmaking suggests otherwise. And bad movies like The Cradle of Life are the worst kind of bad movies. You don't know what's going on and don't care. The characters are action movie archetypes and nothing more. And Jolie's choice to play Lara Croft as an emotionless android puts a depressing pallor over the occasionally exciting action. And with both the Tomb Raider games and movies planning for future installments, you'll be better off with either of them instead of the ironically lifeless Cradle of Life. On the plus side though, no shitty theme song from U2 in the sequel, no John Voight either. And it of course predicted the future threat to society that is the upcoming Rocky and Bullwinkle live action reboot movie. Hollywood hasn't made it yet, but I'm going to stay ever so vigilant.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Bull to Bruce, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life is as successful an archaeological adventure as when Geraldo Rivera opened Al Capone's vault, and loses all of its XP after being killed by a 4 out of 10. And if you think Lara Croft is saddened by what they did to her with this terrible movie, don't worry. She's had far worse. I'm Jesse Shade for JoBlo.com, and thanks again for watching our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the JoBlo Originals channel. Tell all your friends who like this sort of content, and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all our latest videos. We are an independent company that appreciates all of your support, and we have a far better appreciation for the art of filmmaking than the visual effects artists from Monty Python's The Cradle of Life.
I can't believe we got jobs doing this.
I know. And my mom said I would never get anywhere with these games.